All right, riders and starters for the last of the improved production races today. And Ray Hislop, we gave him the triple crown this morning. Let's see if we can get the quadruple crown today and win all 4 races in improved production. Zach Hudson's been really fast in that awesome little RX-7. John Caligari had a spin in race 2, had some cars to pass. Tim Playford hasn't had the best start so far this weekend. Robert Braun in the BMW. Bryce Forward in Commodore Cup, watch out for him. And Peter Casado first in the under 2 litre class. Big grid of cars. A lot of them have travelled from all around the country to be here, many as far as Victoria. Some of them make that trip up every year to be here racing, which is really good to see. That's a big, big job to get up here to race essentially club level stuff.
Do you know what? It's a huge job, but it's not a hard sell.
No.
Because when you're leaving Melbourne in the depths of winter and you're invited to come and race in Darwin, no-brainer.
Kylie, what's the latest in improved production?
Hey, caught up with Ray Hislop in the BF Falcon, as you can see on screen now. He really can't wipe the smile off his face. He claimed the lap record, had 4 laps in the 14, so his car was consistent. I asked, how much joy is it to reach those top speeds? It's not often you get this great long main straight. He tells me he can hear the induction and all the dinosaur noises coming from the front. He's really in his happy place. And I also had a quick catch up with 18-year-old Zach Hudson. For those who saw the race earlier, he was low on fuel, had to conserve. He was short shifting down the main straights, coasting around the corners where he could. He ended up with 1.5 litres of fuel spare in the end. He's going to go for it in this one.
Nice, Kylie. That's good to know. And queuing him up at the back. Oh, that Jessup car's coming back into the pits. That's a shame because he's had issues with that all weekend.
And as a race car driver, Zach Hudson will be going, oh man, I had more fuel. I probably could have had a bit more throttle. He'll be kicking himself.
Could have drained that out a little more. He was 24 seconds down the road from Ray Hislop. I don't think it was going to matter. What's the latest with the Jessup car, Kylie?
Yeah, look, they've got a bit of a misfire. Spent a lot of times in the pit paddock trying to fix it, wiggling everything that they could, but just didn't happen.
Wiggle this cable and pull that wire. Thank you, Kylie. Great info, and unfortunately that car's headed to the pits. Let's go racing. Can Hudson get that RX-7 off the grid and potentially challenge Ray Hislop? The answer is no. Caligari's got a good start though, and the Commodore goes past Zach Hudson all the way down towards turn 1. We go on board with Bryce Forward.
It wasn't through a lack of trying for Zach Hudson, though. The rear of that car was squirming. Stepped off the clutch and tried his absolute best. Wasn't really a fair fight, though, was it?
Only in improved production Commodore Cup would you see an RX-7, an XU1, a Commodore, and a Lancer all in the same corner together, just like that. How about that for a bit of variety in the improved prod class this weekend? That was cool. We've got Bryce and his dad in the 26. Brad Forward.
That was for my benefit.
they can be tough to tell apart at times. Snooping around the outside of Salmon. Gets it. That's a good move around the outside of turn 6. There is the dinosaur, as Kylie alluded to, screaming on its way up towards turns 9 and 10. Beautiful sound of a V8 in full flight. Big field of cars, 30 in total. Mixture of not just Holdens and Fords, but all sorts of manufacturers out there. And onto the front straight we go. Time for the dinosaur to roar. It's a beautiful noise. Hudson did get around Caligari, and then Caligari gets him back in a straight line.
That dinosaur noise that you're talking about and referring to, Chad, that's the noise that a really stressed engine makes. Very similar, roaring along.
Bryce Forward hard on the brakes, picking between the 2 red cars. Couldn't be any more different, an RX-7 and an XU1 Tirana.
And this battle that he had in today's earlier race 3 with McKay continues on. Likewise for Hudson and Caligari. Hudson will have a lot more speed in that little nimble RX-7 through the corners. You can see here, he's able to brake so much later, carry more corner speed. But as soon as we get to the point where wide open throttle counts for everything, Caligari's got the upper hand.
Yeah, if we were running around a little nimble friendly racetrack, it would be happy days for the little 65. But there's just one problem with racing here in Darwin for him. It's that big long front straight. So look at that, that's what would you say, a car length, if that, as we come out of turn 14. Watch the big Commodore go.
Well, it's not a car length now, is it?
No,
it's about a paper width.
Try and tuck in behind him, but that's the difference in power. By the time they get to the finish line, it's 20 car lengths. And through the speed trap, 240 Ks for Caligari, 232 Ks. So 12 Ks quicker in a straight line, to be exact. Replays at the start. Do like that angle. Bit of old school touring car action from that side of the racetrack.
It just shows really clearly who got the jump as well. And there's that 65 of Zach Hudson on the left of shot there. The rear squirming. Leapt about a car width over to the driver's right as he was trying to get the rear wheels to perch into the ground. Caligari had no such issues. Was able to clear Hudson by the time they got to turn 1. We'll go on board with Bryce Fullwood now. He's provided us with some really good onboard shots this weekend. He's in the thick of it, isn't he?
You know, you got a pretty good start when you blaze past an all-wheel drive Lancer on the start line.
The only all-wheel drive car in the field for Stoopman. I would have thought that thing would be an absolute jet off the start line. And Fullwood's just managed to round him up.
That's a cool shot as they all went 3 wide. Escorts, XU1s, Lancers.
That little noise that you just heard there, the front wheel from Stoopman making contact with the passenger side door of Fullwood's car, sounds like a can opener.
Whoops. That's the closest we've seen to a mistake from Ray Hislop all weekend. And then this battle for second. Oh, that was pretty wild. Oh, that aggressive camber angle hasn't led to good braking performance in the RX-7.
And that's the byproduct of that amount of camber on the car. Is it's okay if you're in a straight line and you've got, you know, really equal force going into those front 2 wheels and tyres. But as soon as you have any sideways movement or opposite force on either side front wheel, it just unloads and locks. And we've seen it a lot from Hudson this weekend. Regardless of all of that, it looks cool.
It looks awesome. We like stance. It's just interrogating the rear of this Commodore.
This is tricky for Hudson because when you've got speed discrepancy between 2 cars like this, you can get caught out really easily. Hudson's not able to run his normal flow and line through these corners, so he's having to adjust a little bit on the fly and drive dependent on what Caligari's doing ahead of him, and that's where, geez, he's brave, because running that close to the back of a car like Caligari's, that's where you can make contact, and last thing he needs to do is that. But this has dealt Braun into the battle in the little BMW.
See, he's got the power in a straight line. There goes Caligari again. Braun versus Hudson. Pretty even between those two. Smaller engines than what we see out the front. Again, he'll try and reel him in.
So the racer in me, my take on all of this chat, Caligari's actually backing Hudson up into Braun. Why? Because Caligari knows that every time they get to that straight, he can just drive away from him. So he's slowing him up through all this slow stuff here. He looked quite slow that previous lap. And then that gives Hudson a little bit of drama from Braun behind him.
They're doing 1 minute 19s, their best 1 minute 17s. So further to your point, 2 seconds down.
Yeah.
He's just parking the thing mid-corner.
Learning from Shane Van Gisbergen, pretty much.
A bit of gamesmanship going on.
Absolutely, there is, for sure.
As a result, Hislop's raced out to a 12.8 second lead after just 4 laps. So, basic question for you. If one person's able to go out and build a car that's so quick like Ray Hislop, why haven't more people been able to do it? Is it just a simple factor of being able to put the funds together to build a car like that?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, motorsport always has been and always will be a game that's driven by the dollar, unfortunately. And when we've got a category like this in improved production and most of the guys driving, in fact, 99.9% of the people driving are funding and self-funding their operations and their racing. So yeah, it just depends on who wants to throw the most amount of money at it. And for Ray Hislop, you know, he's no disrespect to him, but he's had a really good crack at building that car. It's beautifully turned out. It doesn't want for anything, and he has an advantage over everybody else, but he's driving it brilliantly, and he's making the most of what's underneath him. So yeah, it comes down to dollars. Whoa. What doesn't come down to dollars is when you've got an RX-7 and you're battling against a big,
You might have him here.
powered.
He's got him. Oh, him
No,
and shoulder off the
Caligari.
road. Don't argue for the little RX-7. Another BMW will swing around the outside. Take that, young fella. The 18-year-old, copping one. At the exit of turn 6.
And that's not a fair fight at all. That'd be like Matt Nolte bumping into the side of you, Chad. You'd never stand a chance.
I'd be lying if I said that hasn't happened on a night out up here in Darwin before. That's the slide from Braun coming onto the front straight. You're not much bigger, Andy.
That's That's why I left myself out of it. Oh, man. That was Caligari just absolutely opening up the wheel there and just bumping into the side of Hudson, saying, mate, you are a thorn in my side at the moment. So let's have a look at the replay here. Hudson had to have a look around the outside because Caligari's parking his car on the inside. Right about now, Caligari says, no, I'm going to occupy this piece of road. Hudson says, I have no option to end up out on the grass.
Another angle of it.
And just for the record, Noltz is in the 5 and you're in the 65.
Real-time vision of that right now. Swatted him like a fly. Straight off the track at turn 6.
Looks like there's a bit of a wobble on that left front wheel there from Hudson's car as well as he came back on the road. That there, my friends, is oversteer. Opposite lock required to catch that. And that's beautifully driven. Back to my point, he's driving it well. It's not like he's under-driving the car when the rear is sliding around like that. That's why I love those slow-mo shots. We get a real sense of the work rate from these guys. Pretty cool.
Look at the lead down the front straight. It's sizable. And everyone out there still cutting some laps and having fun in Commodore Cup as well. Now, there's a fair chance Ray's going to catch these guys on the last lap, so we may have a little bit of traffic to deal with. It's been a great, entertaining category once again for 4 races this weekend. Time to spend whatever tyres they've got left on the way to the checkered flag. It's been an entertaining weekend. Hislop's been driving the wheels off that car, like you mentioned. And as Kylie said, chasing the lap record. I'm waiting for him to pop into the shot. There he is. He's coming. He might just catch these guys before he gets to the checkered flag. Difference in lap time between the Commodore Cup cars. They're doing 1:22s. Hislop's in the 1:14s. So he's 8 seconds a lap quicker. Here he comes.